Chapter 81, Salamander Bees. Our group will do the mission from Firefly Apiary End. Mars and I will complete Rolling Boulder Monster mission, Christian said. They split up. Neo and Jack visited the Firefly Apiary's shop. A plump woman welcomed them. Hello. What are you looking for? We are here for the mission. Neo showed them the information on his phone. The woman, Joanna, covered her face with her hand. The ruler accepted our mission. She smiled. It's our pleasure to have you. Please follow me. They entered the door behind the counter. After moving through the indoors, they came out in the backyard. It was filled with trees. Long trees. Salamander bees use sunlight to make their honey. The taller the trees, the tastier their honey. Savanna trees are their favorite. The expected height of nests can reach anywhere from 500 meters to 1,000 meters, Joanna explained. It would hurt if someone falls from there, Jack muttered. That's why we ask students to collect the honey for us. Salamander bees are quite an aggressive bunch. Jack nodded in a daze. What happened to the people who fell from that height? Did they survive? His question was rhetorical. He believed the apiary must have safety equipment to prevent falls. But Joanna's smile made Jack afraid. Did they survive? And Neo, I think I know why this mission wasn't chosen by other students. Suddenly, Jack recalled something. You should climb, Neo. You survived the fall from the cliff during the entrance exam. This much should be a child's play for you. It was a logical division of labor. Still, Neo couldn't help but smile bitterly at how quickly Jack threw him under the bus. I guess I'll do it. It will double as my training. As expected from the ruler. Nothing is difficult for you. Please come this way. I'll give you the equipment and teach you how to extract the honey, Joanna said. The woman led Neo to a shed. She gave him a brown full bodysuit. It had a large backpack connected to a vacuum hose. The gloves and boots will stick to the trees if you pass your divine energy through them. You can practice a bit before you start working. Neo wore the suit. It was hot inside it and the mask of the suit got covered with fog whenever he took a breath. This is annoying. He didn't take long to adjust to the suit's functions. After all, his magic circuits on palms and soles were developed thanks to his spells. The only problem was the amount of divine energy being consumed. Neo had to use his divine energy carefully if he didn't want to be emptied midway and fall. I'll climb now. Good luck. You will need it. Jack spoke the last part in a barely audible whisper. Neo heard the words since his hearing was boosted when he devoured the gremlins. However, he let Jack go and focused on the task. Here I go. He circulated his divine energy through his limbs and climbed. The gloves and feet stuck to the tree's bark like they were glued. Neo had to cut off the divine energy supply when he wanted to remove his limbs from the tree. Circulate the divine energy. Stop. Climb. Circulate the divine energy. Stop. Climb. He repeated the same thing over and over. For someone like Neo, whose biggest weakness was his divine energy control, it was a wonderful training. There was only one problem. Neo was down to the 1/4th of his divine energy reserves before he climbed half of the tree. He had to climb to the top and return too. Damn it. I'm wasting too much divine energy. My control isn't refined enough. Over 60% of his divine energy was leaking while only 40% went into the suit. Neo used the Essence Breath spell to recover his divine energy when he hit 1/10th of his divine energy pool. His climbing speed decreased drastically. Using divine energy for the suit and for the spell while making sure he wasted as little of it as possible was hard. He had to divide his focus between 3 tasks. The boiling heat inside the suit wasn't helping. Neo felt he was swimming in sweat when he reached the top. 2 hours. Huff, huff, fuck this. His limbs were sore and he felt exhausted. Unfortunately, the salamander bees didn't appreciate his hard work. The palm-sized orange bees flew around like a storm and bashed their bodies against his suit. They died when they hit him and exploded into a blazing fire. The heat and force of the attacks were fierce. However, the worst part was the explosion. The smoke from them blocked his air supply tubes. Neo felt he would die from suffocation if he didn't die from the fall. Fuck off. He used Ocean's breath spell. It did little against suffocation. As more and more salamander bees attacked him, Neo felt he would fall from the tree. The burning heat was boiling him alive. He clenched his teeth and used the aura of darkness. Every elemental aura carried the property of its element. Just like how aura of death could kill, the aura of darkness could absorb. Black flames burst over Neo's suit. It lessened the impact of the explosions and salamander bees' attacks. Neo used the chance to pull out the vacuum tube from his backpack. He stuck it inside the beehive and let it absorb the honey. The task was slow. It wasn't long before the salamander queen bee, almost as big as Neo's torso, appeared. I'm fucked if that thing attacks. Neo regretted not bringing Obidus up there. He left it since there was no place to keep it in the suit. However, had he known the attacks of salamander bees were so fierce, he would have carried the sword no matter what. The queen salamander bee flew towards Neo like a cannonball. Neo held the tree with one hand and pointed his other hand at the salamander queen bee. Red lightning flickered around his fingertips. Aura snipe. A single bolt of lightning shot out. The attack seemed weak compared to his first aura snipe. However, it was far more condensed. Chapter 82 Energy Replenishment Elixir. The salamander queen bee suddenly stopped breathing. Its wings no longer moved and it fell out of the air. The corpse exploded after it fell for a few seconds. The shockwaves of the explosion hit Neo with powerful intensity. I was really dead if that thing attacked me. Neo filled his backpack with honey and quickly started descending. Using aura of darkness for too long was draining. It was nighttime when he reached the ground. You are back. Jack's face lit up. The workers of the apiary were waiting for him. Neo threw away the suit as soon as stepped on the cold hard earth. He didn't care if he was half naked or about the gazes of others. Finally, he took a deep breath. The freezing air cooled him down. These are your clothes. Joanna came to him with a flushed face. Can I have a shower before that? Yes, of course. She maintained her professional attitude despite the scene before her eyes. Neo noticed her gaze moving to his lower half, but he was too exhausted to care about anything. After returning from the shower, he crashed on the chair next to Jack. Both of them sat under the moonlight in silence. You are quite bold. I didn't expect you to get naked as soon as you completed the job. Jack chuckled. He was no longer a nervous mess. There are quite a few young ladies working at the shop. How do you think they will react now? You think I give a fuck about what others think? Neo noticed some of the girls peeking at them from the window. He pursed his lips. You should try to wear that suit under the sun and see if you don't get cooked. Ha ha ha, I'm sorry. I wasn't blaming you. Anyway, where is the salamander queen bee corpse? Why? Are you thinking of? Yeah, I'll devour it while the apiary prepares our rewards. Jack stopped smiling. It was known to everyone how the users of darkness ended. Insane and corrupted. Not a single darkness user was spared from the wretched fate. He wanted to advise Neo against it. However, it was clear Neo wouldn't listen to him. Come with me. They said we could take the corpse since we hunted it and stored it for us. Neo followed him. They found the salamander queen bee's corpse inside another shed deep into the forest. Want to watch the process? It will help you with your element. Neo questioned. No, I'm okay. I'll wait for you outside. Jack closed the doors and left. Alone, Neo inspected the corpse. It didn't die from the explosion, but from the aura snipe. If Neo had not killed it, the salamander queen bee could have bombarded him with multiple explosions. He once again realized how close he was to dying. It's too late to be afraid of death. He chuckled and formed the hand signs. Darkness. Devour. The shadows bloomed. And the noises returned. Kamepleagan wanapleagan nagan kumatur world now will treat fairly kumatis neolitsplayagan. It was unpleasant. He couldn't get used to it no matter how many times he did it. Dynamic vision +1. Agility +1. He left the shed and returned to the apiary with Jack. Joanna waited for them there. These 4 bottles are your rewards. We've mailed you the mission completion documents. Once you return to the mission hall and complete the verification process, you will receive the credits. 4. The reward was only 3 bottles of energy replenishment elixir. Yes, the 4th bottle is a thanks from our side. You completed the mission in half the usual time. It helped us too. Neo accepted the rewards. He popped open one of the bottle and drank it. It tasted sweet. A warm sensation traveled through his body and he could feel his physical exhaustion disappearing. It's nice. Thank you. Our products are in high demand across the academy, but it is always nice to hear the praise of a ruler. Neo left the apiary with Jack. Why were you so cold? I'm pretty sure the girls there would have liked your number, Jack teased. I'm busy. He took out his phone and dialed Christian's number. What are you doing? Jack asked. Asking them about their mission progress to see if we should start the last C rank mission. Already. It's midnight. We don't have time to rest. Besides, I don't feel exhausted after using the energy replenishment elixir. It was harmful for the body to use the elixirs in large amounts. They could impede the growth of stats. However, Neo was tight on time and he barely drank anything. It was not dangerous. Not yet, at least. Christian picked up the call after he dialed it the 3rd time. Hello, crack. Crack. Boom. Are busy. The monster, boom. Evolved. It's too strong. The mission, boom. Boom. B rank or even an A- rank. The static noises and the explosions made it difficult for Neo to understand Christian's words. It was clear they were having a hard time. Do you need help? Neo asked. Even if the mission's rank was evaluated wrongly, which shouldn't have been possible, they did not have the time to report the error to the mission hall and receive another mission. They had to complete the mission today itself. No. We, boom. Crack. Ourselves. You two go for the 3rd, crack. Boom. The call was cut. Neo bit his lips. Will it be okay? Jack questioned. If Mars and Christian are having trouble, then the monster has to be strong. Neo nodded. Mars was on par with Morrigan. For now at least. A C rank mission's monster should have been no match for Mars. Christian wasn't weak either. Those two could handle an A- rank mission's monster if they were well prepared. We can only leave it to them. But they said they would complete the mission themselves. Let's trust them. Jack nodded with a hardened face. They went towards the location of the last C rank mission. There were 8 buildings for the first-year students of Templar course. These buildings were called blocks. Aurelia Block, Veritas Block, Tempest Block, Nexus Block, Orion Block, Arcadia Block, Helios Block, Solstice Block. Each block was ginormous and held different classes. For reference, these 8 were blocks assigned to Templar course students. There were dozens of more blocks for different courses. Thankfully, Neo did not have to go to a different course's block, since just walking there could take half a day or more. They met the guards of the Aurelia block and showed them the mission document. Come inside. The guard, stern-faced, opened the doors for them. Chapter 83, Veritas Hall in the Bloodthirsty Ghost. He gave them torches. Go straight down the corridor and the stairs. Turn left from the first corner, go straight and take the 3rd right. You'll find the janitor's room there. He will explain the mission details to you. They took the torches and entered the building. Do you remember the location? Jack asked. Because I don't. Follow me. It was their first time in Aurelia Block. Neo had to circle around the corridors a few times despite remembering the location. You sure you remember the location? We can still return and ask the guard again. Shut up. In the end, it took them 20 minutes to find the janitor's room. A dim light flickered above the door. Neo knocked. A noise, as if something fell, came from inside the room. The door opened, and a man with hollowed cheek and large dark circles beneath his eyes revealed himself. We've accepted the mission. Neo revealed the documents. The janitor showed no reaction. He stepped out of the room and walked into another direction. I think he wants us to follow him, Jack said. They climbed the stairs and reached the 4th floor. The janitor stopped before the women washroom. It comes here. No fixed time of arrival and you can't see it, He spoke with a ghastly voice and left. Huh? Wait, where are you going? Jack asked. The janitor did not return. Jack was left exasperated. That's all information we have for the mission. Wow. Neo stepped into the washroom. He scanned the area. Ghosts were an invisible entity. One needed elemental vision with death affinity to see them. Heyman, can you help me locate the ghosts? No. He expected the answer, but it still disappointed him. Guess we need to do it the hard way. Neo turned around only to see Jack still outside the washroom doors. Why aren't you coming in? Can I do that? I'm a man and it's women washroom. Neo gave him an unamused stare. Jack, we don't have time for jokes. I wasn't joking though. Jack stepped inside with an embarrassed expression. The two waited for the ghost to appear. Nothing happened after 2 hours. Is this even working? Besides, how will we deal with something we can't see? We'll use our death affinity to dodge the ghost's attacks and counter it. Doesn't that mean we have no plan? Neo looked away. It would have been an easy task if he had elemental vision. However, one needed to reach adept mastery in an element for it. We are wasting too much time. I'll try to lure out the ghost. Please protect me and deal with it when it arrives, Jack said. He sat crossed-legged on the ground and closed his eyes. His lips moved while he chanted multiple spells. Parallel spell casting. That's a technique barely any students from our batch can use. I don't know if I should call him coward or stupid for choosing 1700's rank with that ability. Neo shook his head. He waited for Jack's magic spell to work. A sweet scent spread out from Jack. The smell was an illusion only dead souls or those with affinity for death could smell. Necromancy. It's that wretched ability, Payman suddenly spoke. Her voice was cold and emotionless. Neo noticed her disapproval for necromancy. Why are you upset? He whispered. I'm not upset. It's just that the necromancy is a forbidden branch of death element. It's disgusting. He couldn't understand her words. Devouring others was fine, but necromancy wasn't. I know what you are thinking and you are wrong. Devouring is another form of death. It's the end. Necromancy, however, is an act against death itself. It strips the dead of their autonomy and makes them mere tools for necromancers. Those disgusting mages corrupts both life and death for their personal gain. Tell me, am I wrong to hate such repulsive acts? There is no need to think about necromancy in this situation though. Jack is simply luring out the ghosts. Neo answered her calmly. He made sure to keep his voice low lest Jack heard him. Before long, Neo's senses rang. He ducked and rolled into Jack's direction. Deep scratch marks appeared on the wall where Neo stood moments ago. He grabbed Jack. Wake up. The ghost is here. Jack's eyes were unfocused and he continued chanting the spell. This damned guy. He is completely out of it. Set up a defense spell at least. Suddenly, Neo felt a heavy presence of death. He used Ocean's Embrace only for the spell to provide paper-thin defense. Fuck. Blood poured out from the gashes on Neo's back. He protected Jack, but it cost him. This damned ghost can use Aura of Death. Aura of Death could inflict wounds that were hard to heal and ignore the opponent's defense to a certain degree. With his low mastery of Ocean's Embrace, it might as well not exist for Neo. Unfortunately, Neo found this just now. He held Jack in a princess carry and retreated when suddenly his senses warned him of another attack from behind. I can sense one in front of me and another at my rear. There are two ghosts. He jumped to the side. His expression worsened. There could be multiple ghosts. Not just two. They could be hiding in the washroom stalls. I can't risk it here. I'll be emptied out after attacking once. If they dodge it, I'm done for. Neo had to change locations. He ran to the window and jumped out. While he was in the air, his senses warned him of another attack. He had no way to dodge and took the attack head-on. Deep wounds appeared on his shoulder. Neo barely managed to land on his feet. As soon as he landed, his senses warned him of 5 presences surrounding him. Neo looked at the window. He didn't sense any other ghost up there. Thanks for following me out. He dropped Jack and held Obidus. Chapter 84, Using the Mission Reward. Red lightning and black flames materialized around the sword. He slashed in a wide arc before the ghosts could run or attack. The trees at the end of area suddenly dried up and died. Screeching wails of the ghosts echoed. Their presences disappeared a beat later. Neo gasped for breath and sat on the ground. My condition is better than the previous time I used Aura Slash. But I'm still fucked if there is another ghost. While his limbs no longer trembled and he didn't feel like dying after just one Aura Slash, it didn't change the fact his divine energy reserves were back to 1/10 of their total. Neo waited. He spread his sense wide to locate another ghost. There was nothing. He let out a sigh and used Essence Breath spell to speed up his recovery. Jack woke up with a groan. What happened? Neo, are you okay? Blood poured out non-stop from Neo's back and his shoulder had an ugly injury. He looked like he had a step inside the grave. I've seen better days, Neo smiled. He wasn't joking. The only worrisome fact about the wounds was they were made from death aura-infused attacks. They wouldn't heal unless healers used purification on him. Neo, however, as a death wielder could suppress the death aura lingering on his injuries and remove it with time. As long as he removed the death aura, his super healing would do the job. In short, he was perfectly fine. What about the ghosts? Is there anyone left? Neo asked. No, the reason I woke up was because their presences disappeared. Good job. Go to the janitor and report the mission's completion. I'll try to recover in the meantime. Jack didn't look enthused to leave Neo alone given his grievous injuries. However, Neo's nonchalance forced him to follow his words. While Neo was focusing on removing the death aura and recovering his divine energy, Payman opened her mouth. I've been curious about something. How can your spirit wield more than one element? It should be impossible. I don't know myself. Neo lied as naturally as he breathed. He was worried Payman would destroy Obidus if she knew the sword's origin. The former Grim Reaper noticed his lie rather easily. Worry not. I won't do anything just because it displeases me. If I did, I would have killed your friend and every necromancer out there. Neo felt his scalp go numb. Because he knew she had the ability to follow up on her words. Payman was strong. She could kill others or spare them on whim. It was one of the reasons why Neo pursed strength. He didn't want to let others decide his fate. Jack returned. He brought plain glasses with him. They, the rewards of the mission, could provide the wearer wind elemental vision. You can have them. I barely did anything in this mission. Okay. Neo wasn't the one to refuse free gifts. He pocketed the glasses for later. The two left the Aurelia block. They crashed into the cafeteria and ordered food. Morgan was, once again, eating piles of bread. She looked like she had just finished her training. Neo was about to call out to her until his senses warned him. She was pissed. And she would attack if he annoyed her. I bet it's because the Zeus clan members made fun of her. Yeah, it's definitely not because she is holding a grudge for the ranking tournament. Neo wisely sat on another seat. Jack let out a sigh of relief. He was worried they had to sit with Morrigan. It wasn't long before Christian's call arrived. We are done. Where are you two? Cafeteria. The one near the Seraphim Hall. Okay. Wait for us. Neo told the chefs to delay his order for an hour. He was waiting for Christian and Mars to arrive so as to eat with them. I'm not doing this to make more friends or because I want to prove Felix wrong. This is my actual personality. I'm an extrovert who had been posing as introvert until now. After self-justifying himself, he waited for Christian and Mars. They arrived almost an hour later. You two look like shit. Tell me about it, Christian smiled bitterly. He was carrying an unconscious Mars on his back. Their clothes were burnt, torn, and covered in mud. Neo gave them the energy replenishment elixirs. Christian drank it. His complexion improved slightly. He used the other bottle and made Mars drink it. What happened on your mission? Jack asked with concern. Can we eat first? I'm famished. And we are poor. We don't have credits to buy the extravagant meals, Jack spoke. Neo stood up before the mood of the group sank. The head chef is the friend of the Aja plantation owner. I'll see if we can have them use our reward from the plantation mission. The price should go down if the cooking ingredients are 70% off. They held a surprised expression. Their faces were saying how poor you have to be to come up with that thought. Neo frowned. He couldn't say he learned this hack from his past life. Of course, 90% of the restaurant threw him and his friends out when they used this hack. He hoped it would work in the cafeteria. After explaining the matter to the restaurant staff, Neo was surprised to see them readily agree to his request. Weird. Is it so easy because I'm the ruler? Or was the mission's reward supposed to be used in this way? They ordered lots of food after hearing the new discounted prices. Neo noticed Morgan looking at their table with a salivating gaze. He called the waitress and whispered, "Can I order something for her?" "I apologize, sir. But only your team can use the discount. Others need to pay the full price." Neo nodded. "Fine, just give her some portion of my food. Or is that impossible too?" The waitress alternated her gaze between Neo and Morgan. "We can allow it if it's just this time." Chapter 85, Chatting in the Cafeteria. "Thank you, and if she refuses, please say it's a gift from the cafeteria because she is a regular patron." The waitress nodded. Neo was thankful she accepted his request silently. He returned to the table. "What were you talking about with the waitress?" Jack said with a suggestive smile. "Nothing." Christian noticed the weird nuisance behind Jack's words. "Why are you asking that?" he questioned while he ate the food. "Listen to me. This guy went naked in front of half-dozen people. Of course, most of them were girls." Christian froze. "Really?" he asked slowly as if he had trouble believing Jack's words. Neo didn't bother pointing out how Jack left out the reason why Neo did what he did. He focused on the food. "Weren't they disgusted?" "Bah, what disgusted? It's different when rich and handsome guys like him do it." You should have looked at the hungry look in the girl's eyes. Rich and handsome. Those words were something Neo would have been never associated with in his past life. The transmigration changed everything for him. Neo smiled. Above all, he was happy. He might have been an extra who died before the original novel's plot began. However, he could change his fate as long as he worked hard. While they were talking, the waitress delivered the order to Morgan. Confused, Morgan asked why was she receiving something she never ordered. The waitress explained the reason. Morgan frowned. When she was about to refuse, the waitress used her glib tongue to have her accept the order. "Nice. Doesn't look like she knows I was the one who ordered it." Neo secretly gave a thumbs up to the waitress and received a nod in return. He was partially, definitely not fully, responsible for Morgan's current situation. Even so, it wasn't the reason why he helped her. He knew she went easy on him during the tournament and she tried to protect him from being killed by other participating students since he chose the first rank token. Neo was only trying to fulfill the favor he owed her. "I'm pretty sure she doesn't have credits. This should even us out." He focused on his table. "Your missions were quite difficult. I apologize for dumping two of them on you." Christian smiled wryly. He heard the whole story from Jack. "I'm pretty sure yours was worse," Jack said. "I wouldn't say that's the case. We were just unlucky the rolling boulder evolved as soon as we found it. I checked and the mission was posted a few months ago. No one took it since then. The delay was the reason why the rolling boulder was able to grow stronger than what was written in the mission details. It was a fault born out of negligence. In short, Neo's team was just unlucky. I will report the disparity in the mission details and the actual details to the mission halls. We should be compensated. Don't get your hopes up though. Nobody likes to accept their mistake," Neo said. Mars woke up while they ate. He was felt rejuvenated thanks to the energy replenishment elixir. "Where am I?" He massaged his brows. "Cafeteria. Since you just woke up, drink some water and eat something light. Don't eat more until you are sure you won't get an upset stomach," Neo spoke. "Thanks." Mars was tired beyond measure. His element, Fire was weak against the earth-wielding rolling boulder monster. It was worse because Christian was the tank and he was the damage dealer. Mars had to exhaust himself beyond his limits to burn the monster. After they ate their fill, Neo opened his mouth. Whoever is tired can take a 2-hour nap. I'll submit our mission completion documents and get other missions for tomorrow in the meantime. We are fine. Let's go together. Mars grinned. Neo shook his head. Stop putting up a front. Our next missions are B rank and A- rank. If you aren't at your best tomorrow, our progress will take a huge hit. It's better to rest now when you can. Sigh, thank God. I wanted to sleep. Jack sunk into the chair. You are coming with me. You hardly did anything. What? Jack's face fell until Neo laughed. I'm joking, of course. Take a rest. Where should we sleep? If we go back to our dorms, we would waste half an hour just going to and fro, Christian asked. Sleep here, Neo said. He left before they could complain again. After arriving at the mission hall, he submitted the documents. We verified the completion of missions. You are allowed to take more missions now, the attendant at the mission hall said. Neo nodded. He reported the error with the rolling boulder monster mission before choosing the next missions. His device rang. Plus 24 credits. Total credits, 24. Neo paid 0.3 credits at the cafeteria. That left him with 24 credits. The others should have received their credits too. It was a good amount for less than 1 week. If we can maintain the pace, we have a shot at the slot for the S rank mission. No one had yet completed the mission's participation requirements. Neo knew his troubles were just starting. The Zeus clan and others would start moving as soon as they realized Neo's team completed 3 C rank missions. We need to hurry. It would have been better to start moving as soon as possible. Neo knew Mars would have been fine without rest. However, Christian and Jack couldn't continue in their current condition. Neo didn't want to push his team too hard for the S rank mission. He could do it. However, he felt like he would lose as a person. That wasn't Neo's aim. His goal was to be the perfect being. How could he claim to be perfect if had to sacrifice his morals to strengthen himself? It was what weak did. And Neo wanted to become the strongest. Let's see. What missions should I choose? Neo stared at the B rank mission list. He could choose 2 of them at once. These 2 look good. He read their details. Chapter 86, Preparing the Trap. B rank mission. Detail: hunt the Kraken that had been eating fishes from the Cisco River and creating trouble for the fishermen. Assigner: Fisherman East Department. Reward: 5 credits, 3 days and 4 nights free trip in Zentia Resort. B rank mission. Detail: a Minotaur has escaped from the Paris dairy. Bring it back without severely injuring it. There should be no damage to the genitals or the mission would be cancelled. Assigner: Paris Dairy. Reward: 5 credits, physical reinforcement spell Echo rank. B rank mission. Neo took the missions and returned to the cafeteria. Mars, Christian, and Jack were asleep. He sat in an empty area and focused on recovering his injuries. Fortunately, the ghost's mastery of death was not very high. It was not too difficult to remove the lingering aura from their attacks. He awoke others 2 hours later. Jan, is it time already? Jack asked. Yeah. Neo showed them the missions. I'll choose the Kraken one. I can fight underwater thanks to my bloodline, Christian answered. He rubbed his eyes to wash away the sleepiness. That sounds good. It will be a good challenge to fight with fire element underwater. Mars grinned. Neo shook his head. Mars, you'll team up with Jack for the B rank mission. Your elemental affinity will put you on a disadvantage if you go to battle the Kraken. But, Mars, you'll have plenty of opportunities to fight stronger opponents. We still have an A- rank mission left and don't forget our main goal is the S rank mission. We need to conserve our strength for that. Mars looked unconvinced. The Minotaur mission is more difficult. Because you need to subdue it without harming it. Neo lied with a straight face. His explanation made Mars nod with a satisfied expression. Are you sure you want to come with me, Neo? Fighting underwater is completely different from fighting on the ground. Don't worry about it. I have a spell for it. Christian noticed the hidden meaning behind Neo's words. It has to be a water spell if it helps you fight underwater. You have water affinity. Yeah. How many affinities do you have? Quite a few. His ambiguous answer raised their curiosity. They wanted to know the truth. Unfortunately, Neo never planned to satisfy their curiosity. The group split up. Neo and Christian crossed the Aja farm. They traveled for a few hours before they reached the Cisco River. It was big and deep enough to be called a lake. Neo silently marveled the landscape before his eyes. You two younglings. Get away from the river. The Kraken is still there. A fisherman approached them with a slipper in hands. Lucas Room, Seraphim Hall. Why have they cleared the C rank missions already? Lucas questioned. That. Zoe stammered. I gave you a team and made you a team leader because you wanted to prove yourself. The only thing I asked from you was to make sure those mudbloods can't compete with us for the S rank mission slot. How did they complete 3 C rank mission then? Lucas questioned with a smile. Harrison and other members of the Zeus clan were present in the room. Stares of multiple people, especially Lucas, made Zoe tremble. Don't be scared, Zoe. I'm not scolding you. I'm just asking for the reason why it happened. She gulped. We made sure only the most difficult missions were left. But somehow they cleared them all. Zoe prepared meticulously. From making sure the salamander queen bee was present in the nest, there were multiple ghosts, to confirming the rolling boulder monster was about to evolve. She checked the other remaining missions were just as difficult if not more. However, it was as if Neo knew the specialties of his teammates. He chose the missions best suited for them. You are saying that Fraud Ruler managed to study his teammates in detail within a day and chose missions according to them? Yes. Her words were cut short when Harrison scoffed. There is no way a team that formed a day ago can have a proper coordination to complete multiple missions at once. It's clear you were at fault for leaving easy missions behind, Harrison spoke angrily. Zoe cowered. Lucas interfered before the matter escalated. It's okay, Zoe. Everyone makes mistakes. Just make sure they aren't repeated. You mean those mudbloods chose 2B rank missions? It's these two. Lucas showed her the details of Neo's team missions. I want you to make sure they fail this time. Why yes. Make sure you confirm the completion of the task yourself. We can't have another failure, right? Lucas' smile made Zoe shiver. She nodded and left the room in a hurry. Cisco River. The fisherman glared at Neo and Christian. How did you two come here? Goshu, attend your classes. Christian turned to Neo with a wry smile. It looked like the fisherman did not recognize Neo's clothes. We are here for the Kraken subjugation mission. Neo stepped forward. He revealed the mission's document. The fisherman looked at them with a doubt. You two peanuts will defeat the sea god? Sir, Kraken is not a sea god. Please refrain from speaking thoughtlessly like that. Oh okay. Christian's sudden strong tone made the fisherman flinch. He looked at Neo. We should start the mission. I doubt these people can provide us any valuable help or information. Neo nodded. It was his first time seeing Christian angry. Christian and Neo entered the river. A blue aura covered Neo when he used the ocean's embrace. They dived underwater. The flow of the river was strong. It was powerful enough to uproot a tree. Neo took a few tries to adjust himself. He began to swim nimbly like a fish. When underwater, ocean's embrace allowed him to breathe and it boosted his movement speed. He felt no different from standing on ground. The only difference was he could move in any direction, including above and below. His smooth movement surprised Christian. Follow me, Christian signaled Neo. I can sense the Kraken in that direction. The two swam towards the center of the river. Again, the river's width and depth surprised Neo. When they reached the location, Christian stopped. It's down there. Christian pointed at the natural trench on the riverbed. No light returned from its depth, leaving it shrouded in darkness. Christian used another spell and created an air bubble around them. They could finally talk. We should discuss our roles. I'm a tank, but, strictly speaking, I'm stronger than you. And while you are a damage dealer, you have better defenses than me. I think for this battle you should be the tank and I'll be the damage dealer, Christian said. Neo shook his head. I can use Aura Snipe and Aura Slash to end the battle in one go. Besides, I can shield only myself with my spell and not you. I can't be the tank. He tightened his grip around Obidus. Christian pondered over Neo's words. I doubt your mastery is enough to take down the Kraken in a single attack. But you are indeed correct. You have more lethal attacks than me. While they were discussing the plan, Neo focused on the Kraken sleeping inside the trench. The darkness was no problem for Neo. He could see the ginormous body of the Kraken and its 8 limbs coiling around the rocks clearly. Chapter 87, Kraken. It looks like a giant squid. That was Neo's first thought. Perhaps Christian knew what Neo was thinking because he said, a dangerously powerful giant squid. Anyway, you can see in the darkness. I expected it since you have the darkness element, but isn't too much. You can kill ghosts, control darkness, breathe underwater, and climb 500-meter trees without a break. Is there anything you can't do? There are plenty of things I'm incapable of. Though, I'm planning to learn them all. Neo's answer exasperated Christian. At that moment, Neo saw the Kraken move. It opened its eyes slowly and met his gaze. Dodge. Neo pushed Christian out of the air bubble and dodged backwards as fast as possible. Suddenly, tentacles shot out of the trench. They moved as fast as bullets and pierced the air bubble where Christian and Neo were moments ago. If Neo was late to react, they would have died then and there. Christian chanted spells. A translucent blue armor formed around Neo. At the same time, a shield and lance of water materialized in Christian's hands. The weapons crystallized into ice. Christian stuck his lance against the shield. A powerful ripple spread out. The Kraken let out a frenzied shriek when it heard the noise and attacked Christian. He swam between its attack and conjured ice shields to block attacks he couldn't dodge. While the Kraken was distracted, Neo dived downwards at full speed. He coated his blade in the aura of death and darkness. Just as Neo was about to slash, the tentacles attacking Christian split up. Half of them shot towards Neo while other half kept Christian busy. Fuck. We split up since it would have been easier to attack it. But it used our plan against us. Neo spun on his position and swung his blade while using a weak aura slash. The tentacles suddenly became slower. They were alive and kicking. Neo used the chance to enter Christian's range. Several tentacles attacked him from multiple angles. He would have been crushed alive if not for Christian's ice shield appearing around him in the nick of the time. The ice shields froze the tentacles. Neo struck the frozen tentacles and they shattered only for the Kraken to regenerate them a second later. Christian struck his shield again and used another taunt. The Kraken was not fooled this time. We can't attack its main body since it's too far. These tentacles aren't letting us close the distance. Neo had to come up with a plan quickly. Cisco River Bank. Zoe stood at the edge of the river. The surface of the water rippled continuously and powerful shockwaves continued to hit the riverbank. They started fighting. She, while hidden, could see dozens of fishermen around the river. All of them were waiting for the result of the battle. I'm telling you they will die. We should have just accepted the sea god's wrath and given more sacrifices to appease them. We are doomed. Those kids angered the sea god. The fishermen wailed. Hearing them made Zoe sick. I can't believe they are so stupid. Despite her thoughts, she let out a smile. Still, it's true that Lunatic and his team will fail. She took out a red pill from the bottle and flicked it to the center of the river. The pill dissolved quickly. With this, they will fail their mission even if they manage to survive. I wonder if the other guys dealt with Mars and his lackey. She moved away from the river and returned to her base. Under Cisco River. Christian and Neo continued to dodge the attack while trying to get closer to the Kraken. Suddenly, both of them sensed a change in the water. It was a small change and something eerie. The Kraken's eyes turned red. It let out a roar. Christian and Neo stiffened. They were unable to move. The roar immobilized them. Neo noticed the Kraken, crazed, coming out of the trench. The monster filled the water with black ink. While their visibility was reduced to null, a massive tentacle stuck Christian. He was thrown backwards like a baseball hit with a bat. Neo barely had time to react himself. He used the aura of darkness to lessen the impact. The tentacle hit him. The ice shield was torn apart like paper. The flames of darkness reduced the force of the attack slightly, and the ocean's embrace saved Neo from being flattened like a pancake. Still, he was hurled into the riverbed at breakneck speed. Fuck. Neo's body screamed when he tried to move. He looked above. The river was filled with ink and the visibility was zero. But Neo could tell. That fucker is trying to go out of the water. He didn't know why, but the Kraken had clearly gone berserk. This is bad. If the Kraken went out of the water and destroyed a settlement, Neo's team would not only lose the mission, they will have to pay penalty too. Neo swam upwards like a bullet. Another tentacle came out of the inky water and flew towards him. He cancelled the ocean's embrace and focused on aura of darkness only. The black flames reduced the impact enough for Neo to grab the tentacle. He used the tentacle's momentum to reach the riverbed, and he sunk his feet into the floor. Neo tightened his muscles and pulled the tentacle. Come down. Veins burst on his limbs. He tried to wrestle the ginormous Kraken inside the water. Just when another tentacle was about to hit him, Christian returned. He rammed into the Kraken. The monster lost its balance. It was just for a moment, but it was enough. Neo turned around and pulled the Kraken over his head and smashed it into the riverbed. Shockwaves rippled non-stop. It was as if a thunderstorm arrived. Neo clenched his teeth and swam towards the Kraken. The monster was blasted into the floor. Its mouth, which was usually hidden beneath its body, was in the open. Neo dived inside. Hundreds of teeth greeted him when he stepped into the Kraken's mouth. They came down at him like a grinder. Neo unleashed his aura of darkness and used the ocean's embrace. He triggered the necrotic touch to wreak havoc from inside. Christian, outside, used his weapons to use rem attacks and lance thrusts. Both of them continued their assault without giving an inch to the Kraken. The monster stopped moving. Christian waited for Neo to come out. Minutes passed. Nothing happened. Just when Christian thought the worst, Neo tore open the Kraken's stomach and stepped outside. He was covered in green blood. It smells, Neo mouthed with a displeased expression. A smile bloomed on Christian's face. He came down to Neo and created an air bubble to talk. We won thanks to you. I didn't do it alone. Still, I will apologize for looking down on you when we started the mission. I would have failed if you weren't there to help me. That's why we are a team. You help me, I'll help you. Neo hit Christian's chest lightly and smiled. Let me devour the monster before we return. Okay. Jack had told Christian about Neo's tendency to use darkness to absorb the monsters. He was not surprised. Neo was about to use the hand signs when a voice appeared inside his head. Let me eat it. I'm hungry. He nodded. How should I do it? No answer came from Obidus. Neo followed his instinct. Chapter 88 Obidus uses Devour. He grabbed the hilt upside down with both hands and tapped the tip of the sheath on the ground. Devour. The shadows of Obidus suddenly swelled. They spread far and wide and covered the riverbed. The noises returned when the corpse started to sink into the darkness. They were bearable. Muscle flexibility +1. Neo was surprised to see his stats increase even though Obidus devoured the corpse. He recalled Henry's words. Obidus is linked with me. It will grow as I grow. Looks like the opposite is also true. Obidus let out a satisfied hum and returned to the sleep. The scabbard became slightly loose. It's about to be completed. Neo turned to Christian. Let's return. They swam back to the river bank. Neo was drenched with water, unlike Christian, who was dried as soon as he stepped on the land. Christian noticed Neo's displeased expression. Please don't get naked now. I'm not an exhibitionist. Neo was exasperated. Maybe he should have stopped Jack from over-exaggerating the story. They met the fisherman after leaving the river. Please sign the mission completion documents and send them to us. We will. We will. The old fisherman nodded. He gave Neo the Zentia resort ticket. After completing the procedures, Neo and Christian left. You look worn out. I'm fine. Christian shook his head. His pale complexion was due to lack of divine energy. Not everyone had a terror-ranked breathing spell to recover their divine energy. I don't think Christian, Jack, and Mars can fight anymore. I'll have to make sure the next mission we choose isn't a battle mission. You are doing a good job. Just hold on a bit longer. We can rest as soon as we clear the last A-rank mission, Neo said. His words brought a smile to Christian's face. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the resort. It's quite famous. They were on their way to the mission hall when Jack's message arrived. Neo read it out aloud. Mars and I've cleared the mission. But there is a problem. Meet us near our dorm. He looked up at Christian. Their expression turned serious. We should hurry. Indeed. They met with Mars and Jack at the specified location. Mars had a smile on his face and his clothes were damaged. Jack, on the other hand, bit his nails and paced around. He noticed Christian and Neo. Hey. You are back. Yeah, we just completed our mission. Congrats. Ours was a success too. Good job. They sat on a nearby bench. Why did you call us? What happened on your mission? That. Jack turned to Mars and signaled for him to speak. The mission was simple enough. The only hiccup was how the Minotaur suddenly went berserk and attacked us. We were almost forced to kill it, Mars grinned. Neo frowned. The same happened with the Kraken on their mission. It suddenly went berserk. Why do you look happy if you almost failed? Neo questioned. Because someone was responsible for the Minotaur going berserk. They tried to have us fail the mission purposefully. Of course, I completed the mission and dealt with those certain people. Mars cracked his neck. He looked refreshed. It was a nice workout. Crazy bastard. He is happy he got a chance to fight others, Neo thought. Jack spoke up. That's the problem. Those people had their faces hidden. Someone came and rescued them before we could confirm their identities. Neo pursed his lips. They had to be strong to rescue the perpetrators before Mars could stop them. It's someone from Top 10 or from a great god clan, Neo said. Yes. That's what we think too. They finally started openly hindering us. Neo pursed his lips. It's better to ignore them for now. We are almost on the finish line. Let's focus on the completing the A-rank mission. The other three nodded. They were about to move towards the mission hall when Mars took out a pen drive from his pocket. He gave it to Neo. The physical reinforcement spell we got as the reward of the mission is in there. I gave a copy to Jack. You can have the other. What about you and Christian? Neo asked despite knowing the answer. I can't use the spell and I'm sure Christian has something better. Indeed. Christian nodded. Got it. Neo pocketed the pen drive. He would learn the spell later. Lucas' room, Seraphim Hall. Harrison grabbed Zoe's neck and smashed her into the wall. How did you fail again? Condensed aura of lightning flickered around his arm. It burned Zoe's neck. She screamed due to the pain. Answer me. Harrison increased the strength behind his grip. Mars was too strong. I could barely rescue my teammates before he saw their faces. Then what about that mudblood? How did he defeat the Kraken when you were there? He threw her across the room. Not satisfied yet, he was about to kick her again when Lucas stopped him. We don't have time. They will soon go to receive the A-rank mission. Let's go to the mission hall. Lucas gave a glance to the bleeding Zoe before stepping out. Harrison clicked his tongue and followed behind him. Mission hall. Neo completed the verification process. Plus 10 credits. Total credits, 34 credits. He received the notification. After confirming the rewards, he was about to move towards the A-rank mission list when he noticed something. S-rank mission. Details, redacted. Assigner, Sphinx. Reward, redacted. Slots, 2/3. S-rank mission. 2 teams completed the participation requirements. There was only 1 spot left. This is bad, Christian muttered. We might not be able to complete the requirements on time. Does anyone have any idea which teams cleared the participation requirements? Jack questioned. I think it's Zeus clan teams. I would have known if it was someone from Poseidon clan. But aren't you being ostracized? Wouldn't they hide the news from you? This type of information isn't worth hiding. While they conversed, Neo took out his device and contacted Felix. He wanted to know if Arthur's team was one of the 2 teams who cleared the mission requirements. Felix. Me. How many missions have you completed? Felix, we are doing our last B rank mission before we move on to the A- rank mission. Felix, why? Me. 2/3 slots are filled. Felix. Neo closed the chats. It's not Arthur's team. Chapter 89, Clash with the Zeus clan faction. Egg. Let's just pick the mission. The Zeus clan teams have acquired 2 slots already. The Poseidon clan teams wouldn't be far behind them. They might finish the requirements anytime. We have to move quickly. Jack shouted. Hearing his firm voice, the others smiled wryly. That's right. We have to focus on completing our missions. Neo was about to pick an A- rank mission when suddenly a boy with large build blocked his path. What's this? Our fake ruler is choosing an A- rank mission. Harrison looked down on Neo. A- rank missions are too dangerous for someone like you, fraud ruler. He smirked. When Neo tried to move around him, he grabbed Neo's wrist. What's the hurry? Scared to face me? We have a mission to do. Harrison put strength into his grip. A slight noise of Neo's wrist snapping echoed. Mars, Christian, and Jack almost attacked Harrison. Neo had to raise his hand to stop them. Ha, look at this pussy. He isn't even trying to fight back. Guess you know your place. Harrison's grin grew wider. We'll be penalized if we fight inside the mission hall. You should stop, Neo spoke calmly. The injury on his wrist was barely worth mentioning. His battles in the underworld skewed his perception of grievous wounds. It was why he didn't react against Harrison's taunt. For him, it was nothing more than a bump on shoulder. Neo didn't want to waste his breath on such a small matter when his time was limited. Fight. You'll fight me? Fuck, does this idiot thinks he is on par with us just because he managed to get the first rank? Harrison's face scrunched up. Bastard, your stats aren't comparable to even top 50 students, let alone me. We are leagues apart. It won't be a battle if we fought. Just one-sided stomping. A sigh escaped Neo's lips. He released his aura. I told you. The heavy pressure pressed down everyone present inside the mission hall like a boulder. Harrison, closest to Neo, found it hard to breathe. I'm busy. So, move. Harrison's knees buckled. He released his own aura to counterattack Neo's pressure, but it barely helped. The presence of Neo felt like cold fingers wrapped around his neck. Harrison let go of Neo's wrist and unconsciously took a step back. This is how you should have acted from the beginning. Neo clicked his tongue because of the wasted time. He moved towards the A- rank mission list. What should I choose? Everyone is exhausted. I can't pick a battle mission. It should be something that requires less effort and can be completed quickly. While Neo was carefully choosing a mission, Harrison felt his blood boil. He could think again after he got used to presence of Neo's aura. Even if Neo's presence was strong, it was just his presence. He was weak in every other field. Harrison could defeat him easily. He, humiliated, was about to attack when suddenly Mars and Christian blocked his path. They stood between Neo, who was focusing on the mission list, and Harrison. Jack, positioned behind Harrison, prepared his spells in case Harrison attacked Neo. Just as Neo chose the mission, the other members of Zeus clan who were nearby arrived. They pointed their weapons at Neo's team. The tension ramped quickly. A fight was almost imminent when Felix stepped into the mission hall with Percival. What are you all doing? The student council president's presence hit the area like a hammer. His terrifying aura forced others to listen to him. You all are fighting when time is running out? I know the S-rank mission's details have not been released. But use your head. If the Sphinx has assigned a mission, it must be something of the utmost importance. Instead of completing the participation requirements, why are you lot fighting amongst yourself? Is this how the students of Demigod Academy should act? His voice boomed. Half of the students lost consciousness while other half bled from their mouths and ears. Everyone was brought to their knees. Percival glared at Neo and Harrison's team. You two teams meet me outside. Now. He turned around and went out of the mission hall. Felix ran up to Neo. Sorry about that. I thought the God clans might stir up some trouble. So, I brought the student council president. I didn't know you would be implicated too. Don't worry about it, Neo said before he turned to his teammates. All of you go first. I'll get the mission before I follow you. They nodded. While they went outside, Felix spoke. I'll come with you. Our team need to complete the verification for our B rank missions and pick an A- rank mission. They ignored Harrison and the Zeus clan members glaring at them and went to the attendant. I want to pick this mission, Neo said. A- rank mission. Detail: a young phoenix is about to undergo rebirth. It needs condensed and pure fire element aura to aid its rebirth. Assigner: Mystica Fauna Preserve. Reward: 6 credits, Beast Communication Spell, Whisper rank. A- rank mission. Understood. The attendant completed the procedures. You have received the mission. Please visit the Mystica Fauna Preserve to complete the task. Neo nodded. He turned to Felix. See you later. Good luck. Both of them were busy. With only one slot remaining, it was clear only one among them could be chosen for the S-rank mission. If Arthur's team fails, it will derail the plot of the novel completely. There would be negative consequences. Arthur had to meet the Sphinx and ask an important question. The answer he would receive would become the foundation of Arthur's ambition. But I can't give up. This is the only way I can complete my trial. If push came to shove, Neo would answer Arthur's question. He was deep in his thoughts as he left the mission hall. There Percival was waiting for him. Chapter 90, Young Phoenix. Neo was about to meet up with Percival and others when he noticed Lucas speaking to Percival. A thought occurred to him. He took out his device and messaged Felix. After receiving the reply, he joined the group. We apologize for the commotion inside the hall. It was entirely our fault, Lucas said. It's good you know that, Percival frowned. He turned to Neo. Why are you late? I remember telling you to come out quickly. His displeased expression made it clear he wasn't playing games. It was completely different from the friendly demeanor he showed in the library. I apologize for being late, said Neo. Good. At least you know you shouldn't make excuses. Percival looked down at the two groups. All of you will be fined 10 credits per person. But I don't remember giving you the permission to talk, Jack Hanma rank 1721. If there are any problems, relay them to your team leader and ask him to deliver those issues to me. I'm sorry. Jack lowered his gaze under Percival's glare. Percival glanced at them. Does anyone have an issue with the fine? Christian stopped Mars before he could speak up. Percival noticed their actions. Neo Hargraves, extra 5 credits fine to your team. Yes, sir. Percival left after collecting the fine and giving them one final warning against creating a public commotion. I'm sorry. Mars and Jack held downcast expression. Just be careful from next time. Neo patted their shoulders. Anyway, let's go to the mission venue. Harrison glared at Neo's team while Lucas spoke to his own group. Neo ignored them. On the way, he noticed Mars, Christian and Jack were drained physically and mentally. The strain on their divine energy reserves was bad enough and they lost their morale after losing the credits. He opened his mouth. Don't think too much about the credits. We can recoup our losses later easily. I know. It's just that I don't like how we got the short end of the stick when it was Harrison who started everything, Jack said. Well, let's just wait and see. There is a reason why people call karma a bitch. Jack didn't understand the meaning behind Neo's words. I'm not letting them go after this, Neo thought. He was going to fuck them up nicely. The Mystica Fauna Preserve was a wildlife sanctuary. It was created by Derek Palmer to study the evolution of mystical beasts, aka monsters. Due to the aim of the research, the sanctuary housed unique beasts rarely found in the outside world. The beasts living in the sanctuary required extensive care. Oftentimes Derek would need the Academy's assistance to take care of them. It was the same for the young Phoenix. Derek welcomed Neo and his group when they revealed their reason for coming to the sanctuary. "Please, follow me inside," Derek said. They walked down the path made of vines. The forest was filled with an aromatic scent and the noises of beasts echoed at regular intervals. While they walked, Derek continued to peek at Mars. "What is it?" Mars grunted. Oh, it nothing. I was just surprised to meet Mars Everheart in the flesh." Derek was caught by surprise when Mars spoke to him. He regained his composure after a few seconds. "It's related to my research. Magical beasts can use only a few spells and they can't learn more of them. Despite this, they are stronger than demigods. It's because of their high mastery of spells and their refined control of divine energy. You are similar to monsters in that regards than to demigods. I would appreciate it if you can take us to the Phoenix quickly. We are in a hurry." Neo's interruption made Derek realize he had been rude to Mars. "I'm sorry. I didn't realize what I was saying." "I don't mind it, to be honest," Mars spoke. The Forsaken Genius. While his current strength was on par with Morgan, he had reached his limit. He could not grow stronger. It was why the Ares clan had him choose the 100th rank. Everyone in the Academy would soon surpass him. "Are you okay?" Neo asked. "Yeah," Mars grinned. He hid his emotions behind his smile and focused on the mission. The group reached the end of the vine road. The appearance of the forest changed. From lush trees to burnt barks and charred ground. From fragment air to ashen scent. This is a biome created for the Phoenix. Derek led the way. He told them about the biome and stopped when they reached a giant burning nest that lay on the ground. "The Phoenix is inside there. We can provide you fireproof clothes. However, they will impede the transfer of flame element divine energy. I would suggest going in there as if you have adept master of flame element." "Please give us one suit," Neo said. Derek nodded and took it out of the bag he carried. Seeing the same suit as he used during the Salamander Bee mission brought unpleasant memories. He suppressed them and opened his mouth. "Thank you. We'll take it from here. I'll leave if that is the case. There are more beasts that require my attention." After Derek left, Neo wore the fireproof suit. "I'll go with Mars while he feeds the Phoenix. Christian and Jack will secure the perimeter." "Do we need to secure the perimeter?" "I doubt the Harrison and his team will do anything after the student council president scolded them. You can never be too careful. Besides, Percival was angry because we created a public commotion. He was never angry about the fight," Neo thought. "Mars, you can enter the flames without the suit, right?" "Yup, I'm at adept mastery. These flames are no problem." Neo stepped into the nest with Mars. The heat made him frown. They encountered the Phoenix. It looked like a chick with flames instead of features. "That's the Phoenix? It's smaller than I imagined," Mars said. "This one hasn't gone through a single rebirth. It will grow stronger and larger every time it dies and revives." Phoenixes were unique among the magical beasts. They were hybrid of living souls and spirits. Spirits disintegrated into divine energy upon death and souls went to underworld. When a phoenix died, it would crumble into divine energy and reform into a stronger soul instead of dying forever or going into underworld. One could say a phoenix cheated death. It was why the situation in front of Neo was weird. He was a wielder of death. He could kill an unkillable being like Phoenix. The Phoenix should have been afraid of him. However, it stared at him in fascination. "As I thought, this Phoenix." Chapter 91, Phoenix's Death. "This Phoenix has been corrupted." The research was a fake front. Derek was building an army of powerful beasts to attack the Academy. He was doing it slowly to make sure the principal did not catch him. The Phoenix would become one of the most dangerous monsters in the future. Suddenly, Obidus trembled. "Can I eat it? It looks tasty." Neo was about to refuse when Obidus added, "Eating it will complete me." Phoenix, even if corrupted, was delectable for darkness wielders. Neo smiled bitterly. "Sorry, but I have to focus on mission for now." "For now, that is." He walked up to Mars, who crouched next to the Phoenix. Can you do the mission? I know you are tired, but we don't have much time. Do I just need to circulate my flame element divine energy into the Phoenix? Yes, high purity divine energy will give it the energy it needs for the rebirth. Then it's no problem. Neo gave the same excuse as Derek. In truth, the Phoenix, had it not been corrupted, should have been able to go through the rebirth by itself. Mars sat in the lotus position. He placed Phoenix on his palms. Wisps of flames materialized around him. He closed his eyes and circulated the divine energy. It shouldn't take more than an hour, Neo thought. He was pushing Mars to his limit. However, there was an important reason he chose this mission. After confirming everything was going smoothly, Neo left the Phoenixes next. He met with Christian and Jack. How is it going? Jack questioned. Good. While he was speaking, his device rang. Felix. Felix, transfer me 60 credits. Me, why? Felix, I need it for the task you told me to complete. Me, wait a minute. Felix. It was the thing he asked from Felix before he met with Percival. Neo called out to Christian and Jack. I need you guys to send your credits to Felix. How much? All 20. Jack pursed his lips. Are you sure, Neo? They might have some use for their credits in their mission. If we help them, they could complete their mission before us and get the slot. Neo frowned. Jack's words were not wrong. He could not trust Felix to follow his words. But yeah, it's for something important. Christian and Jack nodded. They agreed to transfer their credits to Felix. Felix. Me, I'll send them now. Me, but how will you get them? There is a limit to the number of credits you can take from others. Felix, I spent 200 credits, increasing the limit to 1,000. Me. Where did you get the credits from? Felix, I told you. I'm famous outside of God clans. Felix, I asked for 2 or 3 credits from quite a few people and voila. Me. Why would they help after teaming up against us? Felix, not everyone did that because they wanted to. They couldn't deny the God clans. Felix, anyway, got to go? Felix. Neo closed the chats. He spoke to Christian and Jack for a few minutes before he returned to Mars. West Section, Mystica Fauna Preserve Sanctuary. Did you send the others to that blonde and his team? Lucas questioned. Yes, I've sent Kendrick and Gwen, Harrison said. That bitch Zoe really wasted a lot of chances. Lucas clicked his tongue. The two stood at the top of a small hill. They could see the majority of the sanctuary from their location. Are we really going to do this? Harrison asked. This would be too easy track back to us. It doesn't matter. The principal will never interfere, and without her testimony they won't have any guaranteed proof. Lucas grabbed the bow and knocked 3 arrows at once. He pulled the string. Divine energy rushed into his core. It transformed into space-infused divine energy before Lucas casted a spell. Miniature portals appeared on the tip of the arrows. It's time we show them their place. Lucas fired. Phoenix Biome, Mystica Fauna Preserve Sanctuary. Neo waited for Mars. In the meantime, he observed the Phoenix. The presence of death around it was unique. Is it like this because the Phoenix can revive itself? Neo felt as if he was close to enlightenment. Only a small barrier lay between him and adept mastery. Just then, the presence of death flared. A wrist-sized hole appeared before Neo's face. He saw 2 similar holes materialize around Mars at the same time. There was only a split second for him to tilt his head and dodge the arrow that flew out of the portal. It slit his cheek. Mars. Are you okay? Neo quickly stood up. He scanned the area. There were no further attacks. But Neo. Mars held the corpse of the Phoenix in his hand. An arrow was shot through its heart. The Phoenix was dead. They failed the mission. Neo's face hardened. What about you? Are you injured? He asked. No, I was able to dodge the attack, but the attacks aimed at us were a distraction. Their real goal was the Phoenix. Mars, exhausted due to the missions he did during the past day, was not able to react on time. He couldn't protect the Phoenix. Slowly, Mars' face morphed into a frown. Who did this? Giant threatening flames covered his body. They twisted, transforming into eastern dragons, and roared. Neo looked at the hill in the distance. Who did this? Neo knew the answer. However, he couldn't do anything. Things like this happened in every competition. I bet they think like this. Phoenix, already corrupted, was going to become a huge threat in the future. It couldn't be saved. Neo always planned to kill it. And he used Zeus clan as the scapegoat. Return to the mission hall with Christian and Jack and take another A-rank mission. It might not be too late if we hurry. I'll deal with the matters here and inform the sanctuary owner about the mission failure, Neo said. Mars barely suppressed his anger and nodded. After he left, Neo stared at the corpse of Phoenix. Who was he to refuse a free gift? He called out to Obidus. Devour the corpse. The darkness slithered. It pulled the Phoenix into its embrace. Voices returned. Neo could sense the presence of Obidus swelling. Strength +1. Divine energy +2. Obidus pulsed. It grew stronger and stronger. Neo suppressed it. Sleep. There is no need to hurry up your awakening. That will only harm you. Thank you. Give me a few hours. I'll meet you soon. Neo smiled. He could sense its emotions. It was feeling guilty because it couldn't sense the attack on time. Shaking his head, Neo left the nest. I failed the mission as I planned. Now, it's Felix's turn. Chapter 92, 3/3 slots. Neo left the Phoenix biome. He stepped towards the center of the sanctuary. After crossing a few different biomes, he came across a brown building. He entered Derek's office. Has the Phoenix finished its rebirth? No, we failed. It's dead. Is this a prank? Derek waited for Neo to say something. When Neo didn't reply, his face morphed into an ugly grimace. Do you realize what you've done? It was a Phoenix. A Phoenix. If you are incapable of completing the mission, how dare you take it? Neo let Derek vent his anger. A Phoenix is more expensive than your entire life. I'll make sure your team is penalized for this. Not just penalized, I'll make your life a living hell. You damned brats. I'll be taking my leave. Please visit the mission hall if you have any complaints, Neo said. Derek fumed. Neo was on the doorstep when he stopped and turned around to face Derek. Also, the Phoenix was weird. It wasn't afraid of me even though I have death affinity. I suspect it had a tainted bloodline and it is the reason its rebirth failed. His words made Derek shut his mouth with a snap. After all, Derek knew exactly what was wrong with the Phoenix. Did he notice? Derek's palms were covered in sweat. He did not reply to Neo. Again, I apologize for the mission's result, Neo said. He left the sanctuary. On his way, his device rang. A-rank mission failed. -60 credits. Total credits, -60 credits. That's some balance. He chuckled wryly. Jack ran up to him when he reached the mission hall. Neo. Did you take another mission? About that. The slots are full. Who was it? Jack's expression fell further when he noticed Neo's frown. It hit him again that they failed the participation requirements. Arthur's team, Lumen. They were a few minutes faster than the Poseidon clan's team. Neo patted Jack's back. It's fine. We'll get a slot. Neo didn't explain further. Few hours ago, Neo left the mission hall after taking the Phoenix mission. He was about to meet up with Percival and others when he noticed Lucas speaking to Percival. Lucas. This guy will definitely interfere again in our mission. I can stop him, but it's bothersome. A thought occurred to him. It's better to let him attack us and use him. He took out his device and messaged Felix. Felix. Me, my team will give up the third slot. Me. It should increase your chances of securing the slot since my team has the highest chance of getting the slot. Felix. What do you want in return? Me. It's a good thing you are quick on uptake. Me. I want you to. Present. Felix met up with Percival. He was nervous. Why did you call me? Percival questioned. I wanted to report about the interference of God clans in our team's mission. They have been repeatedly trying to sabotage us. A sigh left Percival's lips. You think this is the first time something like this happened? If you think like that, you are wrong. Get used to it. It will keep happening in the future too. And if you don't like how things are done here, deal with them yourself. The professors won't help us. Felix questioned. They won't unless something crosses the line. Everything Percival said was same as what Neo told him. The Academy already knew what was happening in the competition. They were ignoring it purposefully. Sigh, can I meet the principal? Felix asked. Are you thinking of complaining to the principal? Don't do that. You will need to pay with credits for an official hearing and pay extra on top of that if you want the principal to act as a witness. 6,000 credits in total. 2 people can attempt the Junior Templar exam with those credits. It's useless to go to the principal even if you that much amount. It was a checkmate for Felix. There was no way he could get the Zeus clan and others punished. Or so Percival thought. I still want to visit the principal. Do I need to pay credits for it? Felix questioned in a mocking tone. It's not needed. The top 10 students can meet the principal whenever they wish. Percival whistled. A Pegasus flew down. It lowered its head and let Percival caress it. He turned to Felix. Sit behind me and hold tight. They climbed the Pegasus. The winged horse neighed and took off to the sky. It flew higher and higher. Felix saw the campus from above. No matter how high they flew, everything within his gaze was inside the Academy's boundary. It's quite big, he said. Yeah. The horse reached a giant cloud. It flew above it. There a majestic mansion lay. Percival flew down and landed on the clouds. Enter the mansion and go straight to the office on the 3rd floor. You'll find the principal there. He left after giving the instructions. Felix walked on the clouds. The door of the mansion opened when he stepped near them. He entered the place. It had a grand foyer, marble floors, 3 chandeliers, velvet drapes, ornate furniture, sweeping staircase, and sunlit rooms with tall windows. The mansion seemed devoid of any living presence. Felix recalled Percival's words. He climbed the staircase for the 3rd floor. The office was the 2nd room to the left of the stairs. Felix was about to knock when he stopped. He gulped. I agreed to Neo's plan since it seemed to be the only way my team could qualify for the slot. But I'm pretty sure the principal would kill me if the plan fails. His heart hammered against his chest. Should I just dip? Arthur and his team already got a slot. Neo couldn't do anything if Felix went back on his words. It was an easy choice. It should have been easy. Felix bit his lips. Damn it. He knocked. Come in, the voice answered from the inside. Felix gulped and opened the door. Chapter 93, Planning 2 Steps Ahead. He saw the principal busy with documents while Anna, his homeroom teacher, sat across the table and helped the principal. Sit, Charlotte said. Felix nodded. He sat next to Anna and in front of the principal. Charlotte removed her glasses. She rubbed her tired eyes before focusing on Felix. You have 5 minutes to speak. If I feel like you've come to waste my time, you will be fined with 1,000 credits. She picked the hourglass from the table and turned it upside down. The grains of sand fell through the narrow opening. You can start. I'm here to complain about the recent competition among the teams for the slot of the S-rank mission posted by the Sphinx. You want an official hearing? Charlotte drummed her fingers on the armrest. It costs 1,000 credits. Add another 5,000 credits if you want me as the witness. The principal, Charlotte, could observe the campus at all times. She saw everything that happened inside the Academy's boundary. Thus, her words were absolute. If she said she saw someone do a crime, the person would be found guilty no matter what evidence they brought. There is no need for the principal's testimony. I only need to start the official hearing. Very well. Charlotte nodded. She took out a new page and placed her pen on top of it after Felix paid the required credits. What is your complaint? I want to file an official complaint against the principal of the Demigod Academy, Charlotte Fontaine, for allowing students to use unsavory means to win the competition. She's turning a blind eye to cheating, bribery, and sabotage, and it's tarnishing the reputation of the Academy. This isn't about honing our skills anymore, it's about who can manipulate the system the best. Charlotte froze. She raised her head and stared at Felix in the eye. You are filing a complaint against me. Yes. Felix tried his best to maintain his composure. A groan left his lips when the principal's pressure hit him. Brat. Have you gone mad? Felix's limbs trembled. Damn it. Neo, I'll haunt you if I die here because of you. Blood trickled from the corner of his lips. Charlotte snorted. What are you trying to achieve with this? The complaint alone can't do anything without evidence and testimony of witness. Do you have anything to prove your words? Charlotte looked down on Felix. She was furious at his actions. In normal hearings, Charlotte decided who was guilty and who was not. She didn't need any evidences or witness. However, when she was the accused, there would be a public hearing and the judgment would need witness or evidences. The testimony? Felix turned to Anna at his side. The homeroom teacher was staring at him. Does it work if our homeroom teacher acts as a witness for our side? Charlotte closed her mouth. There should have been no one inside the academy who would act as a witness against her. Felix's complaint was useless. But what about Elizabeth, who was disguised as Anna? Would she help Charlotte or Neo, who was about to lose the slot due to interference of Zeus clan? These brats. They planned everything. Charlotte tightened her fists under the table. She had seen Neo devour the corpse of Phoenix. Coupled with what was happening before her, it was clear Neo always planned to fail the mission and get a slot by forcing Charlotte to make a move. He was trying to get the best out of everything. Charlotte's anger simmered. It didn't feel good to be outsmarted by kids who were 1/10 her age. Go out for a few minutes, Charlotte said. What? I can't leave the principal alone with Miss Anna. There is no guarantee if. Brat, out, I said. Felix felt the hair on his limbs burn. The principal was angry. He nodded and left the room. What are you going to do? Will you act as a witness against me, your master who gave you a place to stay when you have nowhere to go, or will you take my side? Her words made Elizabeth wrinkle her brows. Neo. TSK shouldn't have expected anything from someone who returned to her master only when she needed a favor. Elizabeth looked away. The more Charlotte thought it, the more she didn't like Neo. It was one thing to try and one-up her. She would have liked Neo's plan under normal circumstances. But to have her disciple choose him over her was crossing the line. Charlotte called Felix back into the room. Despite being nervous, he maintained a calm expression. Withdraw your complaint. I will deal with the God clans who sabotaged other teams if you do that. Or you can proceed your complaint. Your homeroom teacher here will help you win the hearing against me. However, don't think you'll be safe after dragging my name through the mud. Felix gulped. He was relieved. Everything went as Neo told him it would. I'll withdraw my complaint. He let out a bitter smile. After all, I'd rather not have the principal hold a grudge against me. Charlotte snorted. She returned his credits and pressed the bell. 2 dolls in maid costumes entered the room. You called, my liege? Both of the puppets spoke in unison. Their voice was sweet, yet it made one's heart beat faster in fear and trepidation. Goosebumps ran over Felix's skin. Bring Team Umbra, Astra, and Tempest. As you wish. They formed hand seals. Divine energy in the air churned. Dozens of portals appeared inside the room and students fell from them. What was that? Ah, fuck. My ass. I think it broke. Some of them complained. They fell silent when they noticed their surroundings. Felix locked eyes with Neo. It's done, he mouthed. Good evening, Principal. Lucas stepped forward and greeted. Other students followed behind him. Charlotte nodded. Good evening. I've called you all here because I've noticed some of you using underhanded means to win the slots for the S-rank mission and hinder other teams' progress. Lucas and Harrison's face hardened. It was the first time the principal was getting involved in a matter like this. They looked at each other and then around the room. Noticing Neo's calm expression, both of them had the same thought. Chapter 94, Old but petty, and young but calm. How did he do it? There is no way they could have collected 6,000 credits to start a trial and have the principal act as their witness. Their faces scrunched when they heard her next words. Team Astra and Team Tempest will be disqualified. What? Why? There is no proof we did anything. The members of Team Tempest, Zoe's team, spoke up. No proof. Charlotte's aura hit their shoulders with a crushing force. You dare use those words in front of me? The students fell to their knees. We apologize for our rude words. Charlotte let them suffer under her aura and turned to Lucas and Zoe. As I've said, both of your teams will be disqualified. Team Umbra, which should have received a slot had you not intervened, and another team will get a slot in your places. Listening to her made Lucas frown. He thought hard. Suddenly, his brows jumped. Principal, it is true we had won the slot. No? Yes. Then can we cancel the disqualification if we pay enough credits? Charlotte looked at Lucas with surprise. She hadn't expected this. This year's brats have a good head on their shoulder. She smiled. Her gaze met Neo's gaze. He didn't want Lucas's disqualification to be revoked. His frown made Charlotte's smile grow wide. 500 credits to cancel disqualification for one team, she said. Thank you, Lucas replied. He looked at his teammates. They understood his intentions and sent him their credits. 190 credits. Lucas' team was short of 310 credits. Zoe, tell your team to transfer us their credits. But, Zoe, give me the credits. Hurry. Lucas smiled. It made Zoe shudder. She lowered her head and nodded. Tears welled up in her eyes as she collected credits from her teammates and sent them to Lucas. 410 credits. 90 credits remaining. Lucas turned to Felix. Felix, as you can see, we are in a pinch here. Can you help us? Lucas was not stupid. He saw Neo came to the principal with them and Felix was there already. Clearly, Felix was the one who had enough credits to demand a trial. Why should I do that? Because we are friends and I don't want to harm my friends, or my friends' friends. In short, Lucas knew Felix borrowed credits from other students. He would go after those who helped Felix if he did not listen to his demand. Felix bit his lips. He turned to the principal. It doesn't look like she plans to stop Lucas from threatening other students in front of her. Seems like she hates us for forcing her to move. Felix smiled bitterly. In the end, he shook his head. I don't have any credits left. I used them all for the trial. Is that so? That's quite bad. Lucas backed off easily. Principal, can I make some calls? I need to arrange the credits. Go ahead. He took out his device. A few minutes later, he transferred 500 credits to the principal. Team Astra's disqualification has been revoked. With this Team Astra, Team Lumen, and Team Umbra have received the slots for the S-rank mission. Charlotte smiled. Allowing Lucas' team to keep the slot was her way of getting back at Neo. But... Neo was smiling. As if he predicted this to happen. No, that's impossible. Her smile disappeared. All of you can return. Portals appeared beneath their feet when she finished her words. The students fell into the torn space. Only Neo was left behind. You seem calm for someone who kicked up a storm just now. Storm. I'm sorry, Principal. I don't understand what you mean. She scoffed at his innocent facade. Did you bait Lucas into killing the Phoenix? It was Lucas. Neo's eyes widened. Elizabeth burst into a chuckle at the side. She quickly returned to her cold, expressionless demeanor, but it only served to irritate Charlotte more. This brat. Charlotte barely stopped herself from blasting Neo into the sky. I thought he would boast about his master plan. If that happened, I would have used his words as evidence and held him accountable for Phoenix's death. Even if Neo was smart enough to make such a simple, yet crafty plan, he was still a child. He should have been excited and boasted about his plan's success. Instead, he is calm. He knows he will be punished for Phoenix's death. So he is acting like all of it was a coincidence. Charlotte massaged her temple. Neo was a tricky opponent to deal with. His plans were simple, yet they had no weakness to be exploited. She was about to send him back when suddenly an idea came to her. Neo Hargraves, congratulations on receiving a slot for the S-rank mission. I've closely watched your team's performance and I've been impressed with everything I saw. Neo's smile disappeared. He felt it. Something bad was about to happen. However, I've noticed one of your team members did not participate in any team activities. Teams are made up of 5 members for a reason. If Leonora von Villiers continues to skip the missions, I would have no choice but to revoke your slot. Fucking. Did you just curse at me? No, I said fair point. Neo's frustrated expression brought a smile to Charlotte's face. You can go back now. Again, make sure Leonora von Villiers participates in the S-rank mission, or your entire team won't allowed either. Understood. A portal appeared beneath Neo and he was teleported to the mission hall. His teammates were waiting for him. Why were you late? Jack questioned. The principal wanted to talk to me. It was nothing important. Anyway, let's go eat. I'm hungry. They could tell Neo's mood was off. However, they couldn't question the reason behind his mood when he clearly refused to talk about it. How am I going to get that lazy bum to move? Neo thought. He turned to Christian. Christian, let's just say we need to get Leonora's participation in order to be allowed to do a mission. How can we make her join us? By giving up on the mission. There is no way Miss is going to do anything that needs her to leave the room. Christian's swift answer made Neo close his eyes. That damned neat. His future didn't look bright to him. Sighing, he entered the cafeteria and saw. Huh? What are they doing? Neo couldn't believe his eyes. Chapter 95, Their Dreams. Neo couldn't believe his eyes. Tell me I'm hallucinating. Yes, I think it's mass hallucination. The cafeteria was filled with energy, laughter and music. Students danced, shouted, and clinked their glasses. Felix noticed Neo and his team at the cafeteria's door. Neo. Come inside. Eat with us. What's happening here? Our team threw a party to celebrate us receiving team slots. Where did you get the credits to pay for everything? We used the credits we borrowed from them. Neo looked at him as if he was an idiot. Felix scratched his cheek. The transfer limit. There is a limit to how many credits you can get from others. The students wouldn't have been able to receive their credits back right now. So we decided to throw a party. He came closer to Neo and whispered. This was the perfect way to establish a good relation with everyone. I guess that's true. Isn't it? Will you throw a party too? Neo was exasperated. He wants to split the bill. This guy. Our negative credits were just cleared and we have only 6 credits. He let out a smile. No thank you. TSK. Felix clicked his tongue silently but made sure it was audible. He left when a few students called out to him. Let's take something to eat. You mean order, right? I meant what I said. They are throwing a part, so we might as well partake. Jack looked at Neo. The more time they spent together, the more he realized Neo, contrary to cold and emotionless face, was shameless in both words and actions. Their group sat in a corner. They chatted while eating. A group approached their table. Team Umbra, correct? I've heard you guys managed to receive a slot. A weak team like yours must have made some underhanded deals. I don't think your team can complete an S-rank mission with your current strength. Let us join your... You have 10 seconds to fuck off. Neo cut off the leader of the group. What? Why you cursed at me? Do you even know who I am? 10. You better think carefully. 5. What? You just skipped the counts. 3. Neo was about to continue when the group took a step back. The boy, their leader, clenched his jaw and glared at Neo. I won't forget this humiliation. Remember this, I, Sebas Morris, will have my revenge for this insolent act. They flinched when Neo opened his mouth and left before he could speak. PFFD. I never thought I would see someone act like that in real life. Jack let out the laughter he had been holding back. Christian shook his head and Mars scoffed. It was already common knowledge Neo's team received a spot. They expected someone to join their team for the S-rank mission. Now that we have a slot, what are you guys planning to ask from the Sphinx? Jack brought up the topic while they ate. The four stared at each other. Christian cleared his throat and put his spoon down. I'll go first. I want to know about the fastest way for me to become a senior exorcist. Wow, you don't want to know how to become a senior exorcist, but how to become one as fast as possible. That's some confidence, Jack spoke. His awe-filled gaze embarrassed Christian. My turn. Jack stood up. He exaggeratedly spread his arms and made big motions. I want to write an autobiography. The title would be, I became the strongest necromancer after receiving an oracle from the Sphinx. They laughed. What's the real question you would ask? I doubt you would actually do that, Christian spoke. Well, Jack let out a wry smile. It's a bit heavy topic I'd rather not about or it will dampen the mood. To be honest, I'm worried you all will become jealous of my soon-to-arrive success. As if. Christian felt stupid to have expected a serious answer from Jack. Just a few days ago, Jack was trembling when he met their eyes. Going through life and death struggles closed the distances between them easily. Now, Mars' turn. I want to ask for a way to surpass the Supreme. Suddenly, the group fell silent. Supreme was the highest mastery of a magic spell. Barely anyone reached Supreme mastery in their life. Mars was an anomaly to have achieved Supreme mastery within a few weeks, even if it was for the lowest Whisper rank spell, since it took years of practice for that. Mars. Christian couldn't complete his words. Don't worry about it. Everyone knows my condition. Mars smiled and continued. My heart is weak and it can't pump enough divine energy-rich blood throughout my body. It's why I can use only the weakest spell of my element. I'm called one of the strongest in our year because I managed to train the Fire Punch spell to supreme mastery. But his comprehension was unparalleled. However, he wasn't blessed with a good physique. No. He was cursed with a broken body. A body that won't grow any stronger. With that, I've reached my limit. I can't grow anymore. It wouldn't take long for everyone to surpass me. Mars clenched his fists. He grinned. That's why I must surpass the Supreme. I'm not giving up my title of a genius. He pointed at Neo. I'll use you as the grindstone for my success. You better not slack off in your training, my rival. Neo wasn't strong. He was weak. If Mars had to be honest, Neo was the weakest in their group. But Neo had something they didn't. A power they could never hope to achieve. His unrivaled drive to improve himself. Mars respected Neo for it. Unknown to Mars, Neo's drive was something he learned from Mars. Neo wanted to be like Mars. Someone who wouldn't give up even if he had to burn his life for just an ounce of strength. Someone who wouldn't bend his morals and take the hardest path without cowering. Burn his life, huh? Neo smiled bitterly when he recalled Mars' future. I bet you can do it. Jack bumped his fist into Mars' shoulder. He turned to Neo. What will you ask from the Sphinx? Chapter 96, Subtle Manipulation. I want to know about emotions. I'm a darkness user. Someone I know told me I can maintain my sanity if I can understand emotions. Only after he spoke did he realize his words brought the mood down. As a darkness user, Neo was bound loose himself to the darkness. Today. Tomorrow. He did not know when it would happen. It was not a question of if, but of when. Sounds like a plan, Jack grinned. He spoke to clear the heavy mood. After the dinner, they returned to the Seraphim Hall and split up. The briefing for the S-rank mission is day after tomorrow. Make sure to be on time, Neo reminded them. Neo was about to return to his room when he saw Mars sneaking out of the dorm. Where is he going late at night? It's almost the next day. He followed him. Mars stopped at the end of a small cliff. He stood against the railings and stared at the cliff. You can come out now. I know you are there, Neo. When did you know I was following you? Since the beginning. Mars' answer made Neo smile bitterly. Neo stood next to him. Both of them stared at the moon. It would soon disappear behind the horizon and the sun would rise. Why did you leave silently like that? You could have told us. Christian and Jack would have liked this place too. I wanted to be alone. But, Mars chuckled. A certain someone doesn't understand the logic of privacy. Sorry. Silence fell between them. The cold air brushed past against Neo's skin. He exhaled and rubbed his palms to keep them warm. Suddenly, Mars opened his mouth. You have the bloodline of Hades. Does it mean you can see more than others? Like what? Approaching death. Can you see that? Neo's silence answered more than it should have. Sigh, you must have seen mine too. I guess it was never a secret from you. I don't have much time left. My heart is beating on borrowed time. Neo tightened his grip around the railing. He knew. He knew it since long ago. Mars smiled when he noticed Neo's expression. There is no need to look like that. I've come to terms with my death. My only goal is to surpass Supreme before I die. Sigh, this heavy atmosphere really isn't my type. I want to train and forget about everything. Though I guess I need to ask that before we return. Mars shook his head with a smile when he saw Neo's confused expression. I made sure you saw me when I sneaked out. Don't tell me you thought you saw me by chance. So even you can make an expression like that. What do you want to ask? Neo asked. He wanted to change the topic before Mars pointed out more of his faults. How long do I have left to live? Neo pursed his lips. How long? His mastery of death was not enough to answer that question. Still, he knew the answer. 2 years. I see. Mars, I think you should. I should ask Sphinx how to lengthen my life instead of how to surpass the Supreme. Neo closed his mouth when Mars said what he was about to say. Mars continued. I can do that. But what's the point of living like that? I've searched through the libraries and legacies of my family as well as my clan. There was no solution to save my life or to surpass Supreme. Sphinx might have answer to both. But I can choose only one. He reached out to the rising sun. I would burn brightly like a great fire before I die rather than spending my life as a dimly lit candle flame. Neo could not tell Mars to choose the other option. Because he was doing the same. Darkness would devour him soon, and he was still going to use it. Don't tell others about it. You are the only one who knows this. Neo nodded. He turned around and stared at the forest behind them. When Neo turned around, Jack flinched. Does he know I'm here? No, that can't be possible. Mars had no way to sense him when he was hiding in the shadow space, and Neo was too weak to be able to find him. Jack followed them when he saw Neo tailing Mars. It was out of pure curiosity. He never thought he would chance upon such a huge secret. Mars is going to die. Jack was too stunned to think of anything else. Despite the short amount of time he spent with Mars and others, he became a friend of theirs. I don't want to see that. It was clear Mars would choose his strength over his life when he met Sphinx. Should I use my answer for him? Jack bit his lips. He was carrying too many responsibilities to throw them away for a friend he knew for less than a week. He could not put Mars above his own needs. But, damn it. Jack wished he wouldn't have followed Mars and Neo. Neo returned with Mars to the Seraphim Hall. Sorry, Jack. But this was the only way. I can't let Mars die and I can't give up my own chance. Neo always knew Mars was baiting him when he sneaked out of Seraphim Hall. Since he could guess the reason, he made sure to have Jack follow them. It was not hard to achieve. And the results were in his favor. I'll solve your problems, Jack. So please help Mars this time. Neo disliked manipulating his friends. I don't want to do this again, if possible. However, he knew better than to pin his hopes on the future. After returning to his room, Neo looked at the rising sun through the window. I can't go meet with Leonora this early in the morning. Should I take a short nap to pass time? He was tired. It was best to rest and return to his peak condition since the S-rank mission would start the day after tomorrow. S-rank mission. I should try to recruit Morrigan again. The group's combat strength will fall by half without her. It's too dangerous. Although Leonora would be with them, she was too lazy to fight. Just when he was about to sleep, he felt a presence swelling inside his mind. Obidus. Neo sat up with a snap. He grabbed his sword. Faint red arcs slithered around the sheath and tiny condensed flames burned brightly on its edge. Obidus. Are you awake? There was no answer. Neo grabbed the hilt. It was complete. At least that was what he felt. Let's try it. He tried to pull the blade out from the scabbard. Chapter 97 Obidus Unsealed. The sword slid out of the scabbard without any resistance. It had a curved black blade with pitch-black texture that seemed to pull oneself into it. A kodaki. Well, it's a bit long for a kodaki. The sword's shape was exactly how katana swords were depicted in his previous world. I'm sure the original Obidus was different. Did the appearance change to fit my preference? Neo swung the blade. It fit perfectly in his hand, the weight was balanced, and he could tell his control over death and darkness increased tremendously. Something is weird. His divine energy control seemed to have improved. But why is Obidus absorbing my divine energy? Neo slashed. Something changed when he pulled out Obidus. He couldn't put his finger on it. Suddenly, Payman opened her mouth. How is this possible? Why can your spirit connect you to the underworld? Her words made Neo's brows jump. He realized what was wrong. My stats aren't suppressed anymore. The debuff disappeared. As a kin of death, he was weakened in the world of living. However, that was no longer the case. Neo returned the sword to the sheath. The debuff reappeared and Obidus stopped absorbing his divine energy. His limbs felt heavy. As if he was wearing sandbags. How fascinating. I've never seen anything similar. Neither have I. Neo shrugged. He did his best to hide his smile. After curbing his excitement and taking a power nap, he visited Leonora's room. He rang the doorbell twice. There was no reply. Leonora opened the door. He knocked this time and the door opened. It was not locked. Neo called out to her a few more times from the doorstep. There was no reply. Should I just enter? He decided against it when suddenly he heard a scream from the room. His eyes widened and he ran inside. Leonora. What happened? I. She turned to him and. Principal office. Charlotte closed the set of documents. She rubbed her eyes with a sigh. Is there a problem, Master? Elizabeth stared at her with worry hidden deep within her gaze. The owner of Mystica Fauna Preserve filed a complaint against Team Umbra. He wants to be reimbursed for the Phoenix's death. Phoenix was one of the rarest mythical beasts. Its value couldn't be counted with money alone. And the money is a problem. That too. But there is something else I can't understand. For someone like his personality, Derek is complaining quite calmly. I expected him to burst through my door yesterday, but he only sent a letter. It was as if he wanted to suppress the matter without creating much commotion. Charlotte closed her eyes. She tried to think of a reason behind Derek's strange actions. Elise, how is that boy? How does he act? Is he the type to put others at risk for his benefits or does? Neo is kind, gallant and heroic. Charlotte closed her mouth when she received a swift answer from Elizabeth. It's my fault for asking the question from you. Sigh, where did my Elise go? You look just like her but act like a little girl who had her first puppy love. My Elise will never act like that. Elizabeth looked away at the accusation. Charlotte stood up and decided to leave the room. She wanted to get some fresh air. While on the walk, she continued to think about the mysterious circumstances around Neo's A-rank mission. The boy is sly. However, he doesn't look like the type to kill a phoenix just for his personal benefits. Could there be more to Neo's action? Why would he kill an innocent phoenix? He even tried to protect the phoenix. Charlotte repeated the words. How was he able to stay near the phoenix? The bird should have attacked him as soon as he tried to get close to it. The phoenix was not normal. She realized something was wrong. Did Derek know about this? Is this why he was trying to close the case without causing any fuss? An ominous premonition swept through Charlotte's heart. Charlotte's eyes glowed. Her senses expanded crazily. She could see everything inside the academy in great details. Students sneaking out into the bushes, ongoing classes, teachers gossiping in the staff rooms. She zoomed into the Mystica Fauna Preserve. TSK. He ran away. It was now clear to her. Derek was planning something at the wildlife sanctuary. He escaped when he was about to be caught. Tessa, Talia, send an investigation team to the Mystical Fauna Preserve. I want to know everything Derek did there. Two dolls wearing maid dress appeared behind her. They bowed. Understood, master. The dolls disappeared, leaving Charlotte alone in the long corridor. She sighed as he looked out of the window. Was this a coincidence too? Or did Neo know something was wrong with Derek and did all of this to expose him? It was impossible. Neo, a first year, came to the academy a few days ago. There was not enough time for him to find dirt on Derek. However, the proof in front of her eyes was saying otherwise. Sigh. I hope all of this was a misunderstanding and Derek did nothing. Charlotte massaged her brows. She was beginning to struggle with understanding the full extent of Neo's plan. Leonora's room, Seraphim Hall. Leonora was about to throw her controller in anger when she saw Neo. Her gaze wandered to his back. She noticed the open door. Why did you enter the room without my permission? Instead of answering her, Neo stared at the TV display and game over written on it. Did she shout because she lost the game? He was at a loss when he noticed the room. Empty snack wrappers and soda cans were littered on the floor. Her clothes were strewn across the bed and chairs. The desk, dominated by a glowing monitor and tangled cables, was surrounded by scattered game cases and half-finished energy drinks. Wow. Rude, she spoke sharply. First you enter a girl's room without permission and now you are checking everything. Don't you have any manners? Neo opened his mouth. You think I wanted to enter this dumpster? Chapter 98, Gaming Addicts. Neo closed his mouth abruptly. I'm here to have her join us on the S-rank mission. It's better to be careful of what I say. He opened his mouth. I rang the doorbell twice. There was no answer and I suddenly heard you scream. That's why I entered the room. As you can see, there is no problem here. So, get out. Neo took a deep breath. Don't react to her taunts. That's what she wants. I'm here for a job. Focus on it. Leonora was the only heroine he disliked with passion. It was not easy for him to get along with her due to his personal bias. Look, can we just talk? I have something important I need to discuss. Shut it and leave. I'm busy. Like what? He pointed at her room. I bet you haven't attended classes during the past days and you didn't join us on the missions. What was important enough to keep you busy? I was beating the Enma Shrine 3. Enma Shrine 3. Yup, I beat in it just 2 days. Her smug expression confused him. What's Enma Shrine 3? You don't know about Enma Shrine 3? I guess I shouldn't have expected much from an idiot. She clicked her tongue. It's the game that will receive Game of the Year for this year. It already broke most records. Even though it came out only 2 days ago, it had more sales than entire Sanguine Penguin series combined. Leonora grew excited as she spoke. She stopped, stared at the empty air next to her and coughed. Suddenly, she became calm. You skipped classes just for A. Neo stopped speaking. He couldn't chastise her. After all, he had been in the same situation when Elden Ring and AC Odyssey were released. He was a worse gaming addict than Leonora. Was she such a hardcore gamer? He didn't like it. He didn't like how he shared his favorite hobby with her out of all people. That's what you say because you can't understand the greatness behind Enma Shrine 3. I bet you can't defeat even the first boss. What? Neo failed to realize how smoothly and confidently Leonora was talking when she was within her room. He stopped caring when he challenged his inner gaming addict. You think I can't do what you did? Gaming was the only field where he could call himself the best. His face scrunched up when he recalled he lost the last game he played in his previous life. Fine. I'll show you your place. He went past her and picked the other controller. Hey, what are you doing? Leave that alone. I'm just proving your words otherwise. Neo saved her DLC progress and created a new save file for himself. Leonora was about to stop him until she saw he understood the know-how of gaming. Is he angry because I said he couldn't clear the first boss? Leonora was exasperated. She couldn't follow his train of thoughts. He was fine when the entire academy was calling him fraud. But he can't stand this. Seeing Neo focused on the game, Leonora felt he forgot why he came to meet her for. This game is like Elden Ring. It's almost like it's plagiarized. Neo frowned. What's Elden Ring? A game, Neo said. A good game. Neo did not take long to defeat the first boss. His control surprised Leonora. She sat next to him without realizing it and pursed her lips. That was luck. Besides, I defeated the first boss on my first try too. It's the second one where it gets challenging. Neo scoffed. He continued to play. When he died after meeting the second boss, Leonora chuckled. See, I told you, you were lucky. He chose play again and went towards the second boss the second time. It took him 5 tries to win. TSK, I swear it's the controller that I can't. Neo, about to give an excuse, noticed Leonora's stunned expression. How many tries did you take to clear the second boss? Her silence spoke plenty. The corner of Neo's lips rose into a smug grin. Leonora snatched the controller from his hand and created another save file. She started the game from the beginning and defeated the second boss in 3 tries. I took 3 chances, she answered with a smirk. If that's how you are going to do this, then let's try again. Neo took 1 chance to defeat the second boss. Leonora achieved the same after her next try. I defeated the boss faster, Leonora said. You must be blind. Should I give you glasses? His shamelessness made her grit her teeth. There are more bosses. I don't believe you can get lucky enough to defeat them all. Just accept it's a skill issue on your part when a newbie can clear the bosses before you. Both of them were immersed in the game. Their entire focus was on deciding who was a better gamer. Sometimes Neo was faster and sometimes Leonora. It wasn't until they reached halfway into the game and the doorbell rang that Neo recalled his purpose for visiting Leonora. Check the door. Why should I? It's your room. Go yourself. I'm busy with this boss. It will disturb my concentration if I leave now. I wish you were half as good at games as you are with excuses. Neo shook his head and stood up. He opened the door and saw Christian. Christian's brows shot up. What are you doing in Miss' room? I was here to ask her join us for the S-rank mission, Neo answered with a yawn. This early in the morning? And why? Does it look like you've been awake the whole night? What are you talking about? It's afternoon right now. Neo stopped speaking when Christian showed him the time. It is 6 o'clock in the morning. We've been playing games for the whole day. Neo was stunned. He massaged his eyes and spoke to Christian. Why did you come to Leonora's room? I wanted to ask Miss if she would join us on the mission and… Is it really true you were just gaming? Chapter 99, Calamity rank window. What else would we do? Neo rolled his eyes. Come in. Christian followed him into the room. Where is Miss? She is playing the game in the hall. There was no one in the wide hall. He saw Leonora through the open door. She was sleeping in her room. Is she faking sleep because Christian came? What is he, her mother? Neo entered her room. He was about to wake her up when Christian stopped him. It's fine. I'm not blaming you or anything. You are adults. It's not my decision to make your life choices for you. I think you are misunderstanding something. She was awake until now. It's okay. I understand. You understand nothing. I haven't even met her for long. Why do you think anything happened between? Neo gave up explaining when he saw Christian's expression. As if Christian was looking at a kid who was caught while stealing a cookie and was now giving excuses. Is this how Amelia felt when I lied about our relationship to brother? Wow, it feels like shit. Christian patted Neo's shoulder. The mission briefing will start in half hour. Please be there on time. As soon as he left the room, Leonora raised her head slightly. He is gone, right? Neo took a deep breath. Don't hit her. Don't hit her. He opened her mouth. Could you have not done that? He has a stupid misunderstanding now. It's fine. Christian has tight lips, and even if he spreads the news, I'm not bothered by it. But it bothers me. If the news of him being in a relationship with Leonora was known, he wouldn't be able to get in an actual relationship. Fuck. Neo didn't want to remain a virgin again in this life. He clicked his tongue. Anyway, I need to leave. You are leaving. Yeah, I have to go for an S-rank mission. He recalled why he came to Leonora's room yesterday. Before he could ask her, she spoke. Will you come again? Huh, what? You haven't completed the game yet. She pulled her hoodie down and muttered in a barely audible whisper. Won't you come again to complete it? I'll come to the mission if you play with me again, she spoke hurriedly. Neo blinked in surprise when he heard her. Leonora stammered. She corrected herself quickly. I mean, I can't have you dying on a mission before you, except I'm a better gamer than you. Okay. Neo was stunned. Wasn't that too easy? Give me a few minutes. I'll freshen up before we leave. I have to do that too. Neo sniffed himself. Guess I'll return to my room. That will take too much time. Do you want to get scolded again for being late? Use one of the bathrooms inside my dorm. I don't have clothes. Use mine. She didn't leave room for negotiations. Despite being timid, she turned out to be unusually assertive in weird places. Neo used her place. Since Leonora did not like showing too much skin, she wore baggy and full-sleeved clothes like pants and shirts, unlike most girls. They were good enough for Neo to use. He came out after washing himself. I smell like her. He made an awkward expression and waited for Leonora. Aren't you too used to girls? Payman suddenly spoke. That teacher, the lightning girl, and now her. You seem quite experienced despite your age. Must be your imagination. Neo rolled his eyes. One was a tyrant, another was a crazy bitch who stabbed him with a sword, and the last one lived in a dumpster. What was girly about them? Felix had more qualities of a girl than the three of them combined. Don't go too deep in denial or you'll drown. Payman chuckled. Neo was exasperated at her joke. Leonora returned after a few minutes. She wore the usual hoodie and pants to hide every inch of her skin. Let's go. She walked behind him. The two were going down the corridor when Neo recalled something. He stopped. Wait a minute. Neo approached the door next to the stairs. He rang the bell. The door opened and Morgan stood on the other side. What? I wanted to ask if you wanted to join. Morgan slammed the door on his face and returned to her room. Neo was left hanging outside. He turned to Leonora with an awkward gaze. Let's go. Why yeah. Thankfully, she didn't laugh at his failed attempt. They reached the meeting venue. It was an empty lecture hall. Students sat in dispersed groups while Charlotte and Elizabeth stood at the podium. The projector ran behind them. 1 minute before the scheduled time. Should I call you punctual or lazy? Charlotte asked. Punctual, if you please. Charlotte was exasperated at his shameless attitude. Sit. We'll start the mission briefing now. She clicked her tongue. He approached the seats where his team and Arthur's team sat. Leonora walked a few steps behind him with crouched shoulders. Christian noticed Neo wearing Leonora's clothes, but he ignored it. Felix, on the other hand, was staring at his attire with stupefied gaze. That's not his. Felix closed his mouth before anyone heard him. He didn't want any rumors to start. Suddenly, he felt a cold chill on his back. He noticed Elizabeth staring at Neo and Leonora. Neo. Neo. He whispered. Get away. Did you say anything? Neo sat next to Felix and Leonora sat on the empty seat beside him. This idiot. Felix covered his face with his palms. The group was about to start chatting when Charlotte hit the podium. Silence. Focus on the mission. Two dolls appeared in the room. It was as if they were always there. They distributed documents among the student. The image on the projector changed. It showed a torn sky. Dark rain fell from the crack in the sky. Beyond the crack, there were countless ruins and shadowy monsters. Window number 12,862. This window connects our world to the world of shadows. It opened above Shuria Hills 5 days ago. Due to its current growth rate, its potential has been marked as Calamity rank. A heavy silence descended in the room. Charlotte continued. Yes, Calamity rank. 3 Calamity rank windows connecting to Shadow World have appeared during the past decade. Today all 3 countries where those windows materialized have become a graveyard. Neo pursed his lips. So it begins. The mission where everyone but 5 are fated to die. Chapter 100, The Big Four and the Inconsequential Zereth. So it begins. The mission where everyone but 5 are fated to die. Charlotte continued with the briefing. The information about windows and elemental dimensions should be known to all of you. But I'll explain the basics for those not from God clans. Each elemental, the smallest unit of an element, came from a different dimension. Fire elemental from the world of blazing flames. Death elemental from the world of eternal death. These elementals seeped into the real world through windows. The area around a window, where multiple dimensions coexisted due to the formation of window, was called zone. There was a lot one could excavate from zones. Treasures of elemental planes, rare metals, exotic beasts, elemental seeds, mythical fruits. However, zones were equally dangerous. If the window wasn't destroyed, the elemental dimensions would invade through them and consume the real world. Your mission is to close the window number 12,862. Students gulped. Windows were not easy to close. And a window connecting to world of treacherous shadows? Only those with a death wish would go there. I have a question. Arthur raised his hand. Speak. If the window can become a Calamity rank window in the future, why are awakened demigods like us were selected for this mission? Isn't it better to send someone stronger? We can do that and we will do that if you fail the mission. Pardon. Arthur's face hardened. Failing to close the window, especially one of the world of shadows, meant guaranteed death. No. Death would be a mercy. The shadows never killed. They granted a fate far worse than that. Don't misunderstand. We aren't forcing you to go on a suicide mission. You have the choice to leave if you want. However, you will be forfeiting the rewards if you do that. The briefing continued. Now, I'll explain about what you have to do in the S-rank mission. While the zone will be handled by the Academy staff, you all will enter the window to close it. Window number 12,862 has 3 corners. You will go into the window, place the stabilizers at the corners and close the window through them. As she spoke, the projector showed different images to give them an idea of what they would face. No one spoke. They stared at the screen with bated breaths. The window connecting to the shadow world will have shadow monsters. It's too long to explain, so I'll warn you about the most dangerous monsters. Your shadow. If you see your shadow, run. World of Treacherous Shadow was a unique world among the elemental dimensions. It mirrored and followed the real world down to the smallest detail. Just like how a shadow would. Every person, every beast, every object had a shadow that replicated their actions in the shadow world. Those shadows wanted to become real. If a person was caught by their shadow, shadows would take over their bodies and soul and replace them. Never try to fight your shadow. Charlotte looked them in the eye. It's impossible to defeat your shadow. Just run. That's all from my side. Professor Anna will distribute the equipment to you. The briefing ended. Charlotte left. Someone exhaled and the tension broke. Wow, that's the S-rank mission. It's worse than I thought, Jack commented. I'm not worried about encountering my own shadow. That happens rarely. Besides, I'm weak and so will be my shadow. The problem is. Felix stopped speaking. He stared at Arthur, Mars, and Leonora. We are dead if a shadow of anyone among these three appears. The Big Four and the inconsequential Zeroth, huh? Jack said and suddenly stopped. He stared at Neo in shock. The inconsequential Zeroth. Oh, I just remembered I have to go and. The Zeroth. Is me, Jack? Jack bit his lips. From how everyone stared at Jack, it seemed all of them knew about it and decided to hide it from Neo. What's this all about? Neo asked. It's what students have been calling Arthur, Mars, Leonora, Morgan, and you. I get it why other three are in the Big Four, but why Arthur? Neo wasn't as pissed as they had imagined. Jack let out a sigh of relief and showed him a website on his smartphone. It's a site accessible by only Academy students. Felix has been posting videos of their missions. Coupled with Arthur's performance during the ranking tournament, most students think he is on par on Mars and Leonora. Neo scrolled through the website. Damn, Felix has good editing skills. He ignored the rumors about him. He had more important things to focus on. Giving a fuck about opinions of students who ranked lower than him was the last thing on his list. If all of you are wasting your time, follow me to the zone, Elizabeth said. The students left the lecture hall. They went towards the location where the ranking battle took place. Elizabeth brought them to a hill. Wow. That's a window. A crack in the sky, spanning hundreds of meters, looked down from above. Black rain fell from it. The forest below was covered in shadows. Academy staff, wearing special suits, fought the monsters born from the window's contamination. The pressure of the window pressed down on them heavily. Neo could feel goosebumps rising over his skin. Elizabeth passed them watches. This watch will warn you when your shadow enters within 100 meters of your range. It also shows you the depth level. Don't go too deep or you might fall into the world of treacherous shadows. The corners are located at depth level. Elizabeth continued to explain. Neo could not focus on her. He was staring at the screen before his eyes. Quest: single-handedly defeat the shadow of Arthur Kingsley. Reward: Immortal XP plus 50, time affinity. Accept/refuse. Neo took in a sharp breath. The quest confirmed Arthur's shadow will be there. I have to defeat Arthur's shadow alone. The quest was impossible for the current him. However, the reward. Time affinity. I can't give up on it. Neo cursed his luck. He had to make a choice.